Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 7 of the F1 2020 McLaren driver career mode, where today we're here back with the Monaco Grand Prix. Yes, it's the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. There's so many cliches you can say about this circuit, but I love coming back to this track every year on F1 2020. It was where we got our first front row start last season, if you remember, at this Grand Prix as well. So maybe, just maybe today, and we can see similar sorts of luck here. Obviously, it's a track that requires a lot of patience, a lot of dedication, and everything like that as well, so things are going to be very, very interesting. But obviously, if you missed out yesterday's video from the Spanish Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out. It was quite an interesting race. Obviously, there will be spoilers in just a moment, so yeah, if you missed out on that one, there is your warning. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So, heading to Monaco. 4 points separate myself and Lando Norris at the top of the standings there. Valtteri Bottas, after his DNF at the Spanish Grand Prix, drops back down to 3rd there. Hamilton with his no score as well, down to 4th place there. 3 of the big 4 didn't score last time at the Spanish Grand Prix, and Lando Norris romped away with it at the front of the field there. Consistency has been key early on this season. As you can see, Sergio Perez only 11 points behind Hamilton after the first 6 races as well there. He's managed to sort of find himself near this championship battle, but we'll have to wait and see as to how the Racing Point car improves and develops over the course of this season. But anyway, let's dive in then here to the Monaco Grand Prix. Here we are then, ready for qualifying at the Monaco Grand Prix. Obviously, the most important qualifying session of the year here on the Formula 1 calendar. There's always something special about heading back to this circuit. We've got a lot of good memories from here, but we've also had quite a few bad ones actually on F1 2020. It hasn't been a track that's played too nicely with me over the course of this game. Having a look though, there is a quick rundown of the setup. I'm running a little bit more aggressive wings this time round. Yeah, obviously we're still running incredibly high aero, but we found last time out at Spain that we struggled to get around cars down the straight. That's why I've opted to go with 9 on the front and obviously 11 on the rear there. I normally try and run 10, but I'm going to try 9 and see how we get on. So if we understeer into the wall at turn 1, I've only got myself to blame. Let's do this thing then. Ready for the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying session. A lot of sweat mode needs to go into this one, so hopefully we can just try and keep it nice and tidy. Good run through the first corner. We haven't understeered into the wall, and yeah, times are going to be below 70 seconds if you get it hooked up. I think I just saw an Alpha Tauri at the front of the field, so that's quite impressive going. Almost walloping the inside wall through Casino Square, and as we head down in towards Upper Mirabeau, nice and tidy on the power, on the brakes, no lockups, no wheel spin, anything like that through Lower Mirabeau. Nice and tidy once again down in towards Portier. Just give that inside wall a little bit of extra room than we normally would. But so far, the first half of this lap's really hooked up as we head out into the sunlight once again, slamming the anchors at the 100-metre board there, nice and tidy between the curbs, trying not to use too much of the sausage curb, in towards to back, down 1 gear at the 50-metre board. And so far, things are looking incredibly good. A lot of curb on the exit of the first part of the chicane there, nice and tidy over the curbs into La Rascasse. One of the only overtaking opportunities of the lap. Wallop the outside wall on the X there. Luckily, it was just wheeled face to wall contact. Through Anthony Nogues up towards the line. It's going to be a 109.4. And that's going to be our second pole in Formula 1.
We're really pleased.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Mr. Monaco, Hamilton and Alexander Albon. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Well, there we go. A crazy mixed up grid for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. What on earth is happening in this series so far then? But we take our second pole position in Formula 1. It's quite clear that we like the really high aero tracks for getting our best pole times out there. 4.5 tenths ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who was just ahead of Alexander Albon, Charles Leclerc, Gasly, Ricciardo and Perez. 7 different cars from 7 different teams inside the top 7. for the Monaco Grand Prix. I don't think... Has that ever happened in Formula 1? Someone let me know down in the comments below. I can honestly say I don't think I've had that ever on F1 2020. It seems like such an open title battle in the early stages here. Bottas down in 8th place there. Lando down in 9th. He seems to either be right at the front or right in the midfield at the moment this series there. Stroll rounds out the top 10 ahead of Kvyat Ocon there. Verstappen 13th place, 1.3 seconds off pole, 8/10 of his teammate there. He's only ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi. Vettel down in 15th ahead of Magnussen there. Russell in 17th. Grosjean, Raikkonen and Latifi round out the grid. It is an incredibly mixed up field for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. In fact, no team has got both their cars next to each other for this one. This is going to be interesting. Let's dive into it.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, and Perez, Bottas, Norris, Stroll, and Daniel Kvyat, Ocon, Verstappen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Leclerc. They've taken a grid penalty. Vettel, Magnussen, George Russell, and Roman Grosjean, Raikkonen, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. And once again, penalties for a big name driver. This time round, homeboy Charles Leclerc is going to be starting out of position for this race. But the most important thing for ourselves is we get down in towards T1 in first place here. Obviously, we lost the lead at Zandvoort last time around when we started on pole position. Monaco is going to be even more difficult to try and get it back in the early stages. Hamilton alongside us, we've both got a lot to prove after the disappointing performance last time out. Hopefully the same thing doesn't happen between us this time around here at Monaco as well. But rating then, just on those 5 red lights on the grid, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. Off to a not good start. Hamilton straight around the outside in towards turn 1 there. We take a lot of curb on the inside as we've got a huge amount of wheel spin on the exit of the corner as well there. Albon really trying to apply some pressure as we head up the hill, but not a good start here for the Monaco Grand Prix. Hamilton romping away cleanly as we head down the hill for the first time. It seems that everyone has been able to make it through nice and tidily here, but not what we needed. Just got so much wheel spin in second gear, and Hamilton, not a driver that you need to give 2 opportunities to make a move work. He's always going to take it as soon as it arrives. The yellow flag's out. I'm just going to assume that's going to be the Constantina and up that is so famous around the hairpin on lap 1. You can see all that has now been sorted as we head down in towards the chicane for the first time. But as always around here, I say it every time we head to Monaco, the important thing is we settle down, get into a good rhythm early on, as you can just see Hamilton really pushing, sparking away in towards the final few corners of the lap there. The gap already opened up to over a second, and I mean, he's got the trump card at the moment. He's got track position as we head through Anthony Nogues to complete the first lap there. Hamilton leads the way here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Myself ahead of Ricardo, Albon ahead of Ricardo, as he's got the jump on Gasly. Coming to the end of lap 2, there's definitely a lot more bite in the front end now. As you can see, we go 4/10 clear of Hamilton at the end of that lap. Hamilton gets incredibly fishtaily out of the first corner as well there, so he is definitely feeling the pressure as the top two try and romp away from the rest of the field. It almost is like deja vu of last weekend. Obviously then, it was Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas, our two teammates, who were pulling away at the front of the field, but now it's the battle between the 6-time world champion in this alternate universe and myself. Oh, Hamilton again, getting a little bit squirrely in the traction zones again. Hamilton just all over the road at the moment. He does get the power down out into the hotel, but still, yeah, Hamilton feeling the pressure. Towards the end of lap 4, you can see we're still just staring at the Ineos logo at the back of the Mercedes here. Strategy, we are starting to think about when we are going to make our first and hopefully only stop of this Monaco Grand Prix. Never is a track more critical of when you make your pit stops than here at Monaco. I want to try and go one lap longer than Hamilton. Just having a look at the field spread already, you know, we've really romped away from everyone, so I feel like you would get stuck sort of around the Alfa Romeos, the Haas and the Williams, almost into the back of our rival and fellow Brit in towards Upper Mirabeau there. Hamilton a bit wide on the way through the hairpin, so he's definitely starting to struggle on that rubber, but we might have to wait and see when he pits and then react to it. Oh, confirmation, the team want us in now at the end of lap 6. If Hamilton dives in, we will not. Well, to be honest, I don't think I'm going to anyway. But hopefully Hamilton pits in as well again. You just see that Mercedes get so squirrely on the traction. He's really trying to push as again we just actually that time round run to the back of him through Upper Mirabeau. He's so slow on the apex as again he gets squirrely. Hamilton is definitely trying to drive the wheels off that Merc. They don't quite have the same raw pace as this McLaren underneath us. Obviously we've won the last 2 Grand Prix in a row as a team, but Mercedes still, consistency is king. Through Larascas, is Hamilton going to pit? Oh, we almost hit the inside wall. No, Hamilton stays out another lap. So we will do the same there, as you can just see how close we're getting to the inside walls around a couple of the corners there. You just get the faintest feel through the steering wheel that you've skimmed them, but luckily we're getting away with it. Oh, Hamilton braking on the racing line there through the final corner of lap 7 has not helped me out. I think we got away with it though, damage-wise. Yes, we have once again. So we've been rather lucky with that so far in this race. But Hamilton into the pits. Albon opts to stay out. Luckily for us, Lando does dive it in as well. So we've given him the earlier stop. But are we going to see Hamilton get caught in some traffic as he heads back out of the pit lane? No, he's not. So Hamilton appears to have actually found a bit of clear air there, so Mercedes have timed that pit stop perfectly for Lewis, so we're probably best off trying to come in now, but really pushing on this in lap. Heading through to back to finish off this lap, we are trying to just push to the absolute limits. There are a lot of curb through the second part of the swimming pool chicane, but those final few corners could prove absolutely critical here as we try to get the jump on Lewis Hamilton in this Monaco Grand Prix. He is starting to get held up behind the Haas car of, I'm going to guess, that's Magnussen, so this could really work out nicely for us. 2.6 second stop as well. Luckily, obviously, we stay ahead of Albon there as everyone else into the pit lane here, and I think we've just about done enough. I think Hamilton has lost a lot of time behind that Haas car there as we head back out of the pit lane, nice and tidy. There comes Lewis Hamilton down in towards the first corner. He is going to get the run up the hill there. It's going to be a drag race up the hill in towards Casino Square here, but Hamilton, he just about holds on. He just about has done enough on his fresh medium compound of tyres to stay out in the lead. A huge fishtail though from Lewis Hamilton. We might be able to have a look around the outside. It down the hill in towards Upper Mirabeau, but no, Hamilton again just about holds on to the lead of the Grand Prix, and this Monaco race is really delivering a lot of action in the first half. Oh, we got yellow flags out. Wonder who's got issues. I think it is one of the Alfa Romeos. It might actually be the Haas car just behind. I think it is the Alfa Romeo. I'm going to guess that's Giovinazzi falling to the wayside here in this Monaco Grand Prix. So is this going to give us another safety car in this race? Giovinazzi out, and it is a safety car. So gutted that we didn't just try and start an extra couple of laps here. But that means, yeah, now, do we pit again? Raikkonen up in 3rd place. How on earth has he managed that early on there? So going long has really helped Alfa Romeo once again. But do we pit? Do we take a gamble? Go on to a fresh set of softs get to the end, I don't think it's really worth it. Track position is key around here. And now we've had a DRS failure as well. Luckily it's shut this time around. Often we find the DRS is wide open when we get it to fail. But still not helpful. End of lap 12, safety car is going to be heading back into the pit lane. And now we've got to see if we can try and make a move work on Lewis Hamilton here. All over the back of the Mercedes as we head through Anthony Nukes. 8 laps to go here as we just can't quite get the power down. Always the AI so strong on fresh, or safety car restarts even, I should say, on colder rubber. But we do still hold on to P2. Albon's still looking feisty behind us, but I'm hoping Hamilton and I can romp away again. But Hamilton, just like we saw at the start, is probably going to try and pull a bit of a gap. End of lap 13. Hamilton and I both go fastest in this Grand Prix. We have now all definitely got the temps back up as well there, as Hamilton, clearly once again, feeling the pressure in this Monaco Grand Prix. I can't help but feel if we'd been able to get round him through the pit stop window, oh, we would be a long way up the road at this point as we almost, that's not going to help. Hamilton braking way earlier than I was expecting through upper Mirabeau there. It has given us a bit of front wing damage. It's definitely not worth pitting though for. But that might have just won Hamilton the Grand Prix there way earlier on the anchors than I was expecting him to be. We'll tell the team we're pitting just to shut them up. But still, we don't give up just yet. Lap 16, we're still all over the back of Lewis Hamilton here. The front wing damage hasn't really cost us too much. It's just about trying to find any opportunity. You see it so often around this track. The guy in the lead can sort of just only drive at 90%. And there's nothing the guy behind can do apart from almost take his inside wheel off on a wall there. But, oh God, all over the road at the moment. But, yeah, we're just trying to stick close to Hamilton again. He's so slow through the hairpin, but again, he doesn't need to be any quicker as we actually get a warning that time around for colliding with Hamilton. Oh, he gets squirrely out of the hotel section, and that is really annoying because if we'd been a bit closer there, you can see we're still gaining on him. We would have been able to capitalise on that. We need to stick right under the bumper or the gearbox. Oh, it's Hamilton again. Very, very slow off the exit of the Nouvelle chicane there. He's definitely still making mistakes. Whether he's just sort of tempting us to try and push more to stick with him and see if we can force another error, and he'll just keep it clean and tidy. We'll have to wait and see, but we need to, yeah, just stay right with his gearbox as we head through the final couple of corners of lap 16. This isn't over. Hamilton's now starting to do what you see so often from Mercedes on the F1 2020 game, is they just start using all their ARS, all their spare fuel towards the end of the Grand Prix. The gap's opened up to about 0.7 of a second here, and we're still feeling like we're trying to do qualifying style laps at the moment, but the gap just isn't coming back down to Hamilton at the front of the field here. So you can just see how much we're pushing, how much we're locking up. Oh, we wallop the wall again. It's all going a bit pear-shaped towards the end of this Grand Prix. I think we just need to consolidate P2 here, I'll be honest. We've given Hamilton a big run for his money, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Heading on to the final lap then of the Monaco Grand Prix, and what a race it's been between myself and Lewis Hamilton. But ultimately, we've got to focus on the bigger picture. As much as I want to win the Monaco Grand Prix after the disappointing result last time out of Spain, we need to get big points on the board once again. And 19 points away from this race is always pretty decent. Nonetheless, though, we just were pushing Hamilton all day long, but unfortunately we cracked before he did here. He made a few little errors, but not quite enough for us to make any sort of opportunity work in this race. But that's Monaco at the end of the day, and I can definitely say we gave it all we could here nonetheless. Round the final lap though, 19 points, like I said, is certainly going to be good for our championship standings there. It looks like Ricciardo is going to come through for P4, arguably still, yeah, one of the best races of his generation around this circuit. Always seems to extract absolutely everything he can from his Formula 1 car here. But Hamilton is en route for, I think, his second race victory of the season here. We are going to get our third second place. We've had 2 wins, 3 seconds, and 2 non-point scores. But Hamilton comes through to win the Monaco Grand Prix from second on the grid. And for us, it's a bit gutting, but it's 19 points, and we'll take that.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Well, the gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader. Now, let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is Hamilton from second on the grid. He got the lead down in towards turn 1 and held on to it right until the checkered flag there. Gutted that we couldn't get back around him in that one, but that's Monaco at the end of the day there. We did get the fastest lap bonus point by just over 1/10 of a second, so we only lost 6 points to one of our rivals there. Albon comes through for P3 there, a decent result for him, and Red Bull there, just ahead of Ricciardo and Gasly, as well as Sergio Perez there. 3 guys that have absolutely dominated the midfield in the early stages of this World Championship. Lando Norris came through for 7th in the end, means that Mercedes only pulled 1 point away from us this weekend. They're ahead of Danny Kvyat, and Max Verstappen there in 9th place from 12th on the grid. Bottas had an absolute mare, finishing down in 10th, starting from 7th there. Yeah, very, very disappointed day for him, and I'm sure questions will be asked. Ahead of Ocon, Charles Leclerc, the homeboy, 14th to 12th in the end. Stroll as well, missing out on points after a podium last time out there. Ahead of Vettel, and then, of course, you got both Haas, the Alfa Romeo of Raikkonen, and then George Russell, Latifi, and then Giovinazzi, the one man not to make it to the checkered flag. Means championship-wise, we're 11 clear now at the top of the standings. Hamilton leapfrogs his way from 4th up into 2nd place there. Just, yeah, like I said, 11 points back. Lando is 17 behind us now, and Valtteri Bottas 31 away. He looked like it was a big threat just, what, 2-3 races ago? But since then, yeah, it's really fallen apart in the last couple of races there. And Perez now only 8 points back behind the Mercedes man as well there. Could he be beating one of those guys during this season there? Verstappen still in 6th ahead of Leclerc there. Danny Rick with those big points moves himself up to 8th ahead of Vettel there. Pierre Gasly still in 10th ahead of Albon, who leapfrogs his way back up into 11th, jumping past Stroll and Ocon there. Kvyat in 14th there ahead of Grosjean, and then of course still the usual 5 still yet to score points there. Constructors wise though, yeah, the gap to Mercedes comes down by 1 this weekend, back to 25 points there. Racing Point leapfrog Ferrari as well into 3rd place there, an effective best of the rest there. But I still think come season's end, Red Bull will probably end up with that result nonetheless there. Renault still in 6th, AlphaTauri still in 7th. We could see a bit of a resurgence from those guys as well there, and then of course the bottom 3 as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we will be back very, very soon for round 8 of the season when we head to Baku. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.